Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for the Black History Month leadoff of the House of Hammers. We couldn't be more excited to have our guest, Jacob Brown, with us. But as always, let me introduce the legend himself, Mr. Christopher Okoye. Chris, how's life been for you lately?
Man, I've been blessed and highly favored, man. Peace and blessings to the culture. It's truly a blessing and honor to be here, not just with you, but with our amazing guest, phenomenal speaker, phenomenal man of God. And we're excited, man. Another great episode. We're starting off Black History Month the right way. You know what I'm saying?
Plan the whole thing.
1,000%.
Plan the whole thing.
Allegedly.
We talk so much about, I don't think there's a lot of podcasts out there that talk about failure.
Yeah.
Some of them talk a little bit about perseverance and things like that. I hear a lot of excuse making on a lot of these podcasts. Chris, me and you continuously fail together, and we try to fail big. We take a lot of chances in the things that we pour our love and ourselves into. And that's why I'm so excited to bring our guest on today. He's a former high-level scholar athlete, which I will give him a little, some props on that. He's friends with Coach Hancock from their days at Central Michigan together, sir. Which Coach Hancock is going to be our first lay principal next year. So we're constantly bringing just great people around here. Was in the NFL, had a cup of coffee in the NFL. And after that, and I think the last team you were with was the Raiders, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
So you find yourself getting let go from the Raiders, and then all of a sudden you got to plant your foot and pivot and figure out what you're going to do.
Yeah.
And just to give him a little bit more love and give him his flowers, the growth I've seen from this man in the last 3 years, I've been watching him move from becoming an author of his second book, which will be done in April, I believe you said, Avocado Leadership, which I can't wait to read. I do like the cover of that one better than your first one, because your first book was orange, if I'm not mistaken. We don't play with that color here. Somebody else did that in their first book. So we're 2 for 2 on House of Hammer guests using the illegal color to promote their books. But I know that next one is going to be fantastic, and the first one was awesome. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, Mr. Jacob Brown.
Man, thank you guys so much.
Sean will pipe in some applause and things like that. But Jake, one thing we start with on here is to let the listeners, the followers, people who are going to watch it on YouTube, let them know a little bit about you. It's kind of like the 2-minute you. So if you can share with us who Jacob Brown is, what makes him tick, and a little bit about your why.
Yeah, that's a tough question.
I told you we're not playing.
Yeah, that's a tough question. But first and foremost, Aaron, Chris, thank you guys for having me on here.
Of course, man.
Aaron, you and I have been talking for a couple of years now, and we obviously have similarities in our beliefs and what we do. And Chris, I've been following you for last year.
Appreciate that.
And just love the work that you do. But I appreciate you guys having me on here. Honestly, it's an honor. A little bit about myself. Middle child of 7, born and raised in Bridgeport, Michigan, up by Saginaw. That's how I knew Tory Jackson, head basketball coach here. Small town, big dreams. I am the 3rd athlete from my family to make it pro. I had an Uncle Monty that played pro football for the Buffalo Bills and the New England Patriots. He went to 2 Super Bowls.
Monty Brown from Ferris State.
Monty Brown from
played
Ferris
against
State.
him.
Yeah,
I played against
Monty Brown from Ferris State.
I had no idea.
That's my dad.
Fellow Bulldog.
Okay.
Hey, had the sweet. I will say this: had the sweet curl back. in college.
Monty had the curl.
WWE superstar too, right?
WWE was Marcus Corvon, and WWE he wrestled in TNA for a while. He was the alpha male. So I grew up watching Monty, and Monty's only 13 years older than me. He's my dad's youngest brother. And I followed in his footsteps in terms of coming from a small school and making it, I guess, quote unquote, big. My younger brother, Ike Brown, came behind me 2 years. He played football with me at Central Michigan for 3.5 years and went on to the Atlanta Falcons. And he's a strength coach now at the Miami Dolphins. Was at LSU for the last couple of years. And he played pro ball in Canada for a while. But didn't come from much, to be quite honest, and got married early out of Central Michigan. I was 21 years old. Tough marriage. Got divorced after 7 years. I got remarried to my wife now. We just celebrated 10 years.
Congratulations.
I've got 2 kids from my first marriage, 2 kids from my current marriage. And at the end of the day, I base my life around failing forward. Failing forward for me comes from the scripture, Romans 8:28. For we know that God calls all things to come together for the good to those that love him and those that are called according to his purpose. The scripture says all things. And I actually have it tattooed on my shoulder, all things Romans 8:28, because everything that happens in our lives, God will make for the good. Whether it's good or bad, and at the time, it's going to be something you can use for the good. So what I do, I was a creative director for 16 years after football didn't work out. I found my way at the end of my career in corporate America, really wanting to help motivate, encourage, and mentor other people to find their why, to find their purpose, and to find their passion and their happiness. I felt that at that point in my life, I had done everything that I wanted to do in my life, and I wanted to start helping other people do that. And that was a little over 3.5 years ago that I stepped away from corporate America, became a full-time speaker, author, and a coach. And I'm excited for what God has for me moving forward, but even more excited for what God has for everyone around me, including my children, first and foremost.
You talk about getting married at 21 years old. I think back to when I was 21. Chris, I know you're younger than us, and I know a lot of this show we talk about Chris settling down, finding his wife, having some kids and things like that. So I think that keeps our streak going. So this is, I think, our 10th or 11th podcast. So,
absolutely.
But we keep the streak going. But you talk about making that step at 21 years old. And a lot of people think that that's, when you're 21, you're grown, you got it all figured out. Now that we look back, I feel like I was a kid at 21 and you had to feel the same way. But, you talked about the two children that you had in your first marriage and me getting to watch the growth of one of them through high school basketball.
Yeah.
When you realized that your son was going to follow in your footsteps as a scholar athlete, how much pride did that bring you? Did that scare you at all? Because current day athletics is so different than when we, even Chris was coming up.
Yeah.
Did that scare you at all, or were you excited to be a part of that journey?
I couldn't be more excited to be a part of Connor's journey right now. Just watching him step into himself. I've watched him from the time he was 5 years old, pick up a basketball, to now, he's a junior and he's 16 years old, and he's really starting to garner the leadership role that it takes to be a leader and a captain on a team. And you all know what that takes, right? There's a lot of pressure. When you win, people put it on your shoulders. When you lose, people put it on your shoulders. And in seeing him grow into becoming a young man that can lead a team to wins and lead a team when they lose is something that is very exciting for me. Following him and going through the recruiting journey is absolutely different than what it was when we played, right? Everything with NIL.
Not a lot of social media back in the day for us to promote. I was sending out full VHS tapes.
Oh, yeah.
So you couldn't hide.
Yep.
It wasn't a highlight film.
No.
They saw every misstep, every missed block,
everything.
tackle, whatever it was.
Yeah, no cuts, no nothing.
No music.
Yeah, exactly. So being able to see him through this journey is really fun. It wasn't anything I shied away from my experience, but also my younger brothers at LSU, being able to tap him and understand, what's going on in the scope of college sports right now and what are they looking for has been helpful as well.
I love it.
Yeah.
Chris, I want to ask you what your definition of failing forward is before we get to Jake's definition of it.
So for me, I look at failing forward as this. So we're taught by the minister that after difficulty comes ease. And so in life, there's really no true losses. There's simply just lessons. So failing forward is building enough reps to see what something truly looks like. I think failing forward to me is going from a theoretical approach to a more in action approach where you're seeing actually what it takes. And failing forward to me is just getting the amount of reps it takes to actually be good at something. Mm-hmm. I believe that reps are a necessity for greatness. So many people talk about the process. There's a lot of declarative knowledge, but what actually helps get things done is procedural knowledge. And that's the step-by-step, what it takes. And you only learn that by, as you say, man, get in the mud with it. You know what I'm saying? Getting in the trenches and actually doing the work. And part of doing the work is sometimes things not going as you thought they would be, right? In theory, if I go into the weight room every single day and I lift, I should get stronger. But they don't talk about that pec strain. They don't talk about protein intake. You learn that once you're in the battlefield. Everyone says, we're going to war. You go out and, but once you're doing it, I got to put some ammo in the gun. You know what I'm saying? Okay, when it's time for me to reload the clip, what does that look like? And so for me, failing forward is getting the reps that it takes to actually learn what it takes. The only failure to me is death. that's when you can look at it as failure or the game's over. But until then, man, it's just cultivating enough reps to figure out what it truly takes to become successful or to feel whatever that particular goal that you're doing. And you get better as you continuously get those reps. And I look at, I'll never forget Marvin Lewis, my rookie year. He told me that, he goes, your best football is when you played at the professional level, because you went to a high school where it was like, yo, be meatheads, you're stronger than everyone, you guys got better culture, brotherhood, let's run down their throat. I went to a college where my D-line coach said, if you're bigger, faster, stronger, and in better shape, you're going to win. You should never lose a one-on-one battle. I didn't learn technique or football IQ until I got to the pro level. And so, part of life, man, is just get enough reps to really figure out what it takes to become good at something. And that is what failing forward is, just consistently realizing, let me work on that. I didn't even know that existed for me to need to work on. And so now I'm working on that too. And just realizing that success is just a cultivation of continuously sharpening what some people may call the basics, right? We look at football, we look at business, we look at speaking. You kind of do the same things over and over again from yay high until you're an adult. The difference is a professional makes the difficult look easy. So you do club rip until the day that you die. Whether you're in Little League, it's club rip, you get in 3-point stance. College, club rip, you get in 3-point stance. But success is sharpening those fundamental skills. That's why I always preach, man, mastering the fundamentals, because their greats are just really, really good at the fundamentals. So.
It's like iron sharpens iron in the book of Proverbs. Yeah. Jake, for you, I know you didn't just come out when you decided to get out and do public speaking and motivating people and building these platforms. I know it wasn't all ticker tape parades and open arms. And so there was a lot of, and Chris and I talk a lot about that. I was like, man, I would love to get out more and do this and this and this. And he's like, just put yourself out there, which I have no problem doing. But for you, coming out of that world of being a professional athlete, and Chris, very similar to your story as well, you had to plant your foot, you had to pivot a little bit. What was the toughest part for you when you started that journey, and how many times did you really have to fail big and fail forward?
Toughest part for me was understanding at the end of the day that what I was doing wasn't about me. John Maxwell wrote a book called Failing Forward in 2000. And a lot of people thought that I took Failing Forward from him. I actually never heard of John Maxwell until I was much later in my years. Failing Forward for me came in 2006, right before I went to the NFL. I went and visited my favorite aunt down in Atlanta, Georgia. And she asked me a question. It was 2 months before the draft. She's like, Jake, what happens if football doesn't work out? That's the first time I had ever even allowed that thought to be in my mind, right? Star athlete in high school, star athlete in college, ran a 4.38 40 on my pro day, got schools that are teams that are after me.
Our 40-yard dashes were a little different, but I get it.
What position did you play?
Wide receiver.
Okay.
Right? Okay. So in my mind, I'm 22 years old. I'm in the best shape of my life. And my Uncle Monty played in 2 Super Bowls. So I watched him. I know what's in my pedigree. Why would you ask me that question? And she says, well, what would you do? I said, well, if anything happens, I'd fall back on what I was getting my degree in, graphic or web design at Central. And she says, if you're ever going to fall or fail, always fall or fail forward, not backwards, fall forward. It slapped me in the face because as a football player, we're taught when you're running the ball, you get tackled to fall forward. Why? Because you gain extra yards, even though you failed. The mission is to score a touchdown. So if you get tackled, you failed that play, essentially, right? But like you said, the more reps you get, the better you get. You might next time break out of that tackle.
1,000%.
Right? But if you can't break out, fall forward, gain the extra yards. Don't waste a single rep. Always get a little more.
Absolutely.
And if you get tackled on the 1 yard line and you fall forward, what happens?
Touchdown.
Tutty.
Touchdown.
100%.
I learned that the same is true in life. You're going to fail. You're going to fall. You're going to drop the ball. That's not a football analogy. You will hit reply all on accident in your email, right? You're going to send things that have grammatical errors.
Allegedly.
You're going to
Allegedly.
You're going to make mistakes. You're going to make mistakes. But what do you learn in that experience that you can take into the next project, the next relationship, the next phase of your life? Don't waste that experience. Fall forward. Fail forward. A lot of people don't like the word fail. So I came up with an analogy for the word fail. Fuel your ambition. Ignore your limitations. Fuel your ambition. Ignore your limitations. Most people don't even allow themselves to fail, right? They do everything. They try to stay in their comfort zone. They don't want to take any risks. They don't want to step out of that box. They want to stay in it, right? Fuel your ambitions. What do you really want to do? Fuel that. Ignore your limitations. There might be things that you might not have the education. You might not have the speed, right? When it comes to, I tell my son this all the time. I said, when you watch the pros, some of it is skill, but 90% of it is IQ and effort. Effort.
Speak on that.
Effort
Speak on
beats
that, brother.
talent every time.
Yes, sir.
Effort beats talent every time. We lost to a team that we play actually this Thursday, ranked 8th in the state. And when you came out there, they did not look like much. Didn't look like much. And they end up losing by about 10 points because that team out-hustled them. They put forth the effort, and they never stopped. My son's team had the talent, but they had the effort, and they weren't afraid to fail. They missed shots. They got fouls, right? But they failed forward throughout the game. Effort beats talent. Fuel your ambition. Ignore your limitations.
I can't wait to share that because I have 2 boys. Like I said, we're going to set up an arranged marriage between your 7-year-old daughter
And my daughter.
and my son Bo, named after Bo Jackson. He's a smooth talker,
Oh,
so trust
man.
me,
Oh,
he's slick. Chris has helped raise them, so you know that they're good boys. But I coached Brooks's 3rd and 4th grade football team this year, and we talk about it all the time. And I'll tell you what, you talk about putting things in perspective and how to communicate with your own child there and teach the kids how to. So we host the Super Bowl out here. Sure enough, it's snowing on a Sunday a couple months ago. He's on kickoff. We're telling, cover both points of the ball in the snow. Don't, any little thing. Sure enough, Brooks, kickoff, returns at 20 yards. Kid forces a fumble from behind. Brooks, he turns, looks at the sideline like his whole world just ended, and we're screaming, nope. Positive response. That was our big thing.
Amnesia.
Called a timeout. His teammates were coming over, slapping him in the helmet, telling him he's good. And at that point, I realized that a lot of the stuff I steal from people like Chris and you and other mentors I have in my life and some of my own, whatever I was doing must be working because he shook it off, came back, made a great play. And just teaching that fail forward mentality, because we use it around the house endlessly. I probably use it too much. My wife gets mad at me. I'm like, well, time to fail forward. She's like, I'm tired of hearing it, but it's true though.
It's true.
In today's day and age, there's so many different things for these kids to fail with. If we were going down, and Chris, like I said, you're younger than us, but going down a hallway back in our day, there might be 4 rooms we could dip into of temptation.
Yeah.
You go down that same hallway today, there's 44 different rooms for these poor kids to go in and figure out. And the thing I notice on social media too, is it's robbing them of who they are truly meant to become in God's eyes.
Absolutely.
I spoke at our Kairos retreat on Saturday, and it was about obstacles in God's friendship. And I told them things like the outside noise of the world. Outside of this place, the world is screaming in these kids' faces.
Yeah.
And the Lord's just sitting there whispering, trying to get you to hear his message and to build that true relationship, intentional relationship with him. So I told the kids, I said, guys, the Lord wants friendship. He doesn't want fans.
Right.
To try to flip it in their mindset. And I said, think of it this way, guys. If you got a friend request or a follow from, let's say it's on Instagram, at the real Jesus or whatever it was, and you knew like this was the Lord right here, would you follow him back knowing that he has access to everything in your life? All the cracks, all the creases, all the imperfections, he built you. He already sees it.
Yeah.
So it was a big moment for me to tell the kids, and I used it in there because I knew you were coming on today. I said, guys, fail forward. Like, make sure there's somebody there to help pick you up. Who were some of the mentors that helped pick you up when you fail? We know your auntie down in Atlanta hit you right between the eyes with those 2 tough questions.
Yeah.
But who are some of the mentors that helped pick you up when you failed forward?
Yeah. So I've got an older brother, David. He's 2 years older than me, and he's always been, out of all the kids, he's probably the most even keel. It's kind of weird. And if you heard him talk, you would think it's me. We sound exactly alike, which is weird. He leaves voice messages on my phone sometime. I'm like, did I call myself, right?
I could see you doing it. Let's be honest.
David was that person that no matter what happened in my life, he was always there to be that calm voice of, Jake, it's going to be all right. Right? When the world was screaming, you messed up. You did this. You did that. Dave was always, you okay? Everything good? And I strive to be that for other people that calm voice that you can feel in your core, right? I also had a boss, and at the time I couldn't stand him. I've been being honest, and I had to reach back out to him years ago and just apologize because I didn't know how good of a leader he was until I lost him. And he was my leader for 7 years when I was in corporate, Greg Shea. And at the time, it seemed like he replicated some of my dad in the way that he approached me and led me and poked and prodded me, but he wanted the best for me. He wanted the best out of me, and he wanted the best for me. And when I went through my divorce, when I went through a few things personally, he was that voice that didn't judge me. You know, I'd sit in his office and he would help me through it. But at the time, I just didn't really jive with him. But like looking back, I'm like, man, he was actually a better leader than I thought he was. And I remember texting him one day and just say, hey, Greg, I want to let you know I'm 4.5 years sober. And I appreciate what you've done for me.
That's, Chris, very similar for you. Couple ankle injuries, agent dies when you're looking to get picked up by other teams. I mean, you talk about your challenges that you went through, and luckily, I feel like I've kind of had a front row seat to watch your growth and your failures and things like that. So in those situations, how were you able to pick yourself up? What are some of the hacks that we can give to the listeners, you know, when you were able to fail? And I know some of it cut you deep.
100%.
And still when we talk about some of it too, like your playing career and opportunities and things like that, I know that wound is not as fresh, but it's still there. What are some of the things that you've fallen back on that can help the listeners?
One of the things, man, if you've ever heard me speak or been in one of my keynotes, I always lead with man of God first, author, athlete, entrepreneur second. And I say that because of the positive enforcement that I've had from my family, all right? And if you know me, I define family as people around you that push you closer to your goals, which is different from a relative. And you're a big part of that family. And I also applaud my mother and my aunts was that I had a circle. Is
that why you let me greet you when I say, what's up, black man? You give me a pass on that one?
Absolutely. Absolutely, man. And so the continuous positive reinforcement that I had from my family, people like you, my mother, my father, was that you are so much more than an athlete. And that is why I always pay so much homage to this school. It's because we teach goodness, discipline, knowledge. Who is the man that you seek to become? And that we understand that playing professional sports or being an influencer or being in any form of entertainment is what? It's a low probability outcome. So as a man, we're taught to be logical, right? We have faith. We believe in that faith that works is dead. However, we spend so much time on spiritual and character development that I never got overly engulfed into that. My self-worth came simply from vanity metrics or from sports or from money or from social media or from likes or things of that sort. So the biggest thing that I always tell people is that there's a difference between what you do versus who you are, right? There's a very distinct difference from a human being and a human doing. A lot of times you have a conversation with someone, it's like, too many of you, right? Who are you, man? What do they say? How much money they got, what they do for a living, how nice their wife look. No. That's what you do. That's what you have. Who's the human being? Who's that? What are those intrinsic values? What are those cores? What are those core beliefs? Who are you really? You know, what's your relationship with God look like? What's your relationship with your family? What does success look like to you? I always tell people, success is like a good suit, man. It's nice and it's fine, tailored down to the T. So a lot of life and a lot of happiness cultivation is figuring out what truly makes you happy. And I believe throughout my career, I began to realize that for me, sports was simply a platform that gave me authority to be able to then pour into the people of God. So, as athletes or as people in prominent roles, you realize how excited people get to hear from athletes or entertainers or influencers. Now, the task that comes with that is what you always say, to whom much is given, much is required. So you often have two paths when you're an athlete. You either I got the clout, right? I got the views, I got the followers. Let me leverage that for debauchery, women, parties, drinking, the drugs, vanity. Or I understand that the things that I say hold a much higher weight. As coaches, as teachers, as speakers, we realize this. We realize what? Everyone says the same thing. Like your CEO, your coach, your teacher, your parent, they're probably not saying anything much different than the things that we say.
Yeah.
However, the authority or the influence that you may perceive that I may have to you causes you to then listen to that message. And that is when much is required. And as a man, you have to take honor and a privilege in doing what is required. You look at Jesus. We're talking about a person with an infinite amount of power, right? You talk about he was a rich man that came in the vision of a poor man, came in the aesthetic of a poor man. He was a man that was very articulate, good looking brother. You know what I'm saying? good looking brother. But instead, he used his gifts to lift up others. He could have just been this David Ruffin. This is my show. And they coming for Otis. They ain't coming for the Temptations. But instead, he went and got 12 other. Let me build them up. Then, use the Apostle Paul, gave all of his best teachings. It's scribe, he's written them down, and now it's being shared with the world. That is what we're all called to do, which is why in the Bible, Jesus quite literally says, greater things shall ye do because you have me as an example. So a lot of times it's just being the right type of example. And we talk about failing forward. The cool thing about failing forward is that it creates faster feedback loops.
Yes.
And what does that mean? You ever notice when you keep failing at something, you fail at option A or B to get to C, a lot of times you get to A and B a lot quicker that next time. And I think a lot of people forget that. When you do, let's say you strain your pec lifting, what happens next time? Now you start warming up before you lift. And then when you start warming up before you lift, you realize that your muscles are now more activated, and then you can lift more. But without that failure, you would never start warming up. Yeah. Your muscles would never start getting activated. You would never realize that, man, an extra 15 to 20 minutes hitting some push-ups, getting the YTAs going, and now I'm repping 315. Where before you all cold, stuck at 275. With speaking, sometimes, okay, let me chew some gum, let me get in the mirror, let me take some deep breaths. Okay, when I listen to a sermon before my keynote, I speak better because my subconscious is now primed. But when I pulled up, listen to some Drake, Hotline Bling, I'm having a little tough pause up there, and now my subconscious isn't pulling from things of value. And so failing forward, man, it decreases the time between between your most recent error and your most current success. And so, man, that's the biggest thing that I've learned. That the advice that I can give is be very intentional on learning. And have a really good source of people around you that can positively reinforce the right things. I think as human beings, we all receive reinforcement. But what's being reinforced?
Yeah.
Is it things of values or is it debauchery? A lot of times it's easy to find people to participate in debauchery with. Let's doom scroll. Let's complain.
Let's complain.
Let's complain. Let's feel sorry for ourselves. Let's have a loser's creed mentality. Woe is me. I'm the victim. Everyone's out to get me. But instead, let's reinforce, you know what? I need to get better. Let me control the controllables. Let me focus on getting better. Let me take accountability. Let me develop and cultivate self-awareness, figure out what are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? Am I being coachable? Am I listening to the people that know me best? I always tell people, consultants is a job. People pay people a lot of money for their thoughts and opinions that are based upon their life experiences. So if someone that has life experiences are coming to give you an opinion, it's because they love you. Coaches, consultants, and strategists get paid a lot of money. So if someone of that pedigree is coming and offering you an opinion, young man, young woman, and by young man and young woman, I'm talking about young man, young woman mentally, listen to them, because people don't give valuable opinions for free. That is why I always preach coachability. The reason why I was able to extend my success, extend my playing career is by one thing. I listened. When I went through times of adversity, hey, Mr. B, hey, Coach Monarch, hey, my agent, hey, instead of trying to fight through it, man, go on IR, because right now, yeah, you're eager to play, you're eager to figure it out, leave it up to chance. But in about 10 years, when you're trying to fight for that retirement, we're going to make sure you have these 3 accredited games. You know what I'm saying? You don't think about those things but when you're coachable, you can skip over the mistakes. You know me, I'm a big fan of I don't touch hot stoves. People think I'm hyper conservative. I have always been a firm believer in mentors help alleviate mistakes. you made the mistakes before me, so I don't have to make them.
Mhm.
And when young men can understand that, success begins to happen at a much faster rate. And that's my biggest blessing, my biggest skill set is I just grew up listening. I mean, I still reference things that you told me when I was 13, when I was 14, listening to Coach Mack, listening to coaches. That was always my greatest gift, was that I had the aesthetic and the skill set of a very gifted individual. Meanwhile, people didn't realize the only gift that I had was that I just listened to a Pro Bowler tell me the best practices. And one of the things me and Sean always talk about is that I am the biggest believer in the best practices. It's 2026. There is someone that has done what you're aiming to do at a very high level for a very long time at scale. Listen to them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been the biggest thing that has helped me throughout life, is that they've always just, like, when I was a kid, hey, pre-workout, Chris, hey, get your creatine in, hey, make sure you're warming up.
Stimulant-free pre-workout when he was a kid, just so everybody knows how promoting the proper.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Proper
I mean, let's have a serious conversation. Just last year, I was playing for Pittsburgh about 2 years ago. Shortly after playing, you immediately told me, hey, it's time to start lifting up training styles. All right, maybe squat a heavy a couple more times, but besides that, I started sending you workout videos. Hey, this is my new style of training. You know, I don't need a hip surgery. I don't need a back surgery. I don't need to blow my ACL out doing something stupid. What are the best practices on training and keeping your body feeling good as you grow old in age? What are the best practices, Mr. B? And you share them, and life becomes much more simple then.
I think for me, I've stolen things from the two of you guys and other people that have helped me get stronger mentally. Like I'll always say, the book of Ephesians 6:11, put on the full armor of God to arm yourselves against the schemes of the devil.
The full.
And I think about that, and it's funny. 2 weeks ago, I said that my spirit animal on here was a rhino.
I saw that.
So I've been getting just blown up by my boys. My mom's like, what spirit animal am I? And I'm like, well, Mom, if I look at yours, it's the elephant. She did not, a woman is not going to take kindly to that. So I quickly said, well, it says the elephant, but you're more like the owl, Mom. She's like, I like that better, wisdom and this and that. But it's so much easier to fail on the side of negativity, to make excuses. Well, I failed because so-and-so didn't do this for me, or they had this experience and they had this contact that I didn't have. So it's so much easier to go into that negative mindset. And the one thing I constantly hear from guys like you and other people we bring on is how they were able to lean back on their faith.
Yes.
Their relationship with the Lord, being intentional with it. And like I said, I spoke to our kids this weekend on the Kairos retreat, and I asked them, how many of you in here are struggling with your relationship with God? First hand that went up was my own on the stage.
Yeah.
I'm like, guys, I struggle on a daily basis. I want to make sure every morning I stoke that fire. Like, I'm not going to get up anymore right away and go on Facebook, or as somebody described it that I loved, social media being Sodom and Gomorrah. And I'm like, I've never heard anybody describe it that powerfully.
Wow.
And now that I think about it, I'm like, why do I really care what's going on in some of these people's lives when I wake up? I plant my feet, I give thanks, and I get ready to charge into the day. Jake, for you, like in everything that you've gone through, how important has your faith been? Has it always been there because of the way your family was when you were growing up in Bridgeport? Were you able to carry that with you to Central and to your other opportunities? Tell us a little bit about your faith journey.
Yeah, I would say that I've always been a man of faith. I've always gone to church. I've always been a part of church. I've always sang at church. I'm a worship leader at my church for the
You're going
last
to give us a little
20 years.
You singing or no? You'd be the first one on here. No?
No,
All right,
we're not going to sing today. But I've always had a relationship with God. And one of the things that I realized, and as you were just talking about relationships with God is the only thing that's always constant, unchanging, never moving. And we think about like pets. We just got another pet. We lost our pit bull lab last February. We had her for 11 years. She had just turned 11. In January, we lost her in February. I had to put her down for a tumor. And it was harder than I thought. So we waited a year. We just got another puppy. Her name's Honey. My daughter named her. Before we got her, she said, I want a dog named Honey. We're like, okay, so we're going to have to get a light brown puppy. We wanted another pit bull, so we got another pit bull. But one of the things about dogs, if anybody has pets, specifically a dog, is every time you walk into the house, That dog, no matter what you did the day before or the morning before, is going to meet you at the door with love and affirmation every time. They're not going to miss. That dog will be there. Unless they're sick and just can't, they're going to be there. They're going to love you. They will forgive you constantly. And when I think about the love and the affection of a dog, God is so much better and been so much better to me than anything and anyone that I can ever think of. And he's the only thing that's ever been constant in my life. No matter what's going on, I can always come to him. I can always talk to him. He always bails me out. He always heals me. He always forgives me. He's always there to be there when I need him. And no matter what I went through, failed businesses, failed jobs, failed relationships, God was always there. And the Bible says he'll never leave you nor forsake you. And that is the truest statement that I've lived, not just read.
I think the consistency part is what shakes me the most because, I look back and now that I'm a grizzled vet at 50 years old as of this past September, it's true though. I can think of some times where I've really felt like I've embarrassed my family by something I did action-wise, or a poor decision, like not going down to visit my mom when I said I was going to go down to, and then God making me realize you do realize your time with your parents is limited. Yeah. My dad, 16 years ago, Chris, you'll remember this, he had suffered sudden cardiac death driving a cargo van here, going to pick up a stage at Our Lady of Loretto. They bring him back, paddles to his chest. He's still with us to this day. So he jokes and things like, he'll say stuff like, well, now that I'm only 17, I'm like, Dad, I don't think that joke's funny. So, but in seeing issues like that and things like that, I've always been able to lean back on God. And I've always prayed. I probably should be more diligent in bringing my boys up in the faith by taking them to service, but we at least listen to the message every single Sunday if we're not able to go to mass together. Yeah. And in seeing my own relationship with God through them now, boy, does it put it in a different perspective. Yes. I mean, it's how you put it with that dog is true though, because no matter what you do, you can always go back to God. Yes. No matter what sin you've committed, you can always go. He's not going to judge you. He's going to listen to you, and he's going to give you grace and forgive you. Always. Because he's already paid the ultimate price for our sins. Yes. Chris and I tell the kids all the time, it's one of my favorite. Jesus washed his disciples' feet. Whose feet are you washing? And I say it at home to my boys too, because 10 and 7 years old, they got all the nice gloves and bats, and he's got to have the football gloves, black football gloves with the cross on them and the matching socks. And I'm like, Mommy and Daddy will take care of all this stuff for you, but whose feet are you washing? Yes. Who are you giving back to? Who are you pouring back into? I love that. Chris, with you've really embraced that here at Catholic Central. The first year, I remember I would have to try to plant foot in rear end on you when you'd be up in the stands, and I'd be like, Chris, get down here with me in the student section. And you're like, no. Not really feeling it. But my vision for him was different than his own vision for him at that time. Now that you've leapt in with both feet and you've shared your faith with these kids, how much more joy has that brought to your life?
I think it's brought a lot more joy. The biggest thing you learn about sports is that the more you grow with someone, the more kind of serious your relationship gets. Now, that's why I believe people have to come together and kind of grow or build towards something. I don't think you can just be around a bunch of people and none of you guys are bringing any value to each other, or there's no shared goal, or there's no shared community. And just adding in that component has definitely, because there's just more to talk about. We get to talk about what we're going through, our trials, our tribulations, the things that we're working towards, some of the things that they may want to do, some things that I may be trying to do. And so, it definitely brings a whole entire new dynamic, I would say, for sure. Like engaging and interacting more.
I love it. We challenged the heck out of each other. He actually yelled at me, which I talked about for the first time ever 2 weeks ago, and he was fresh off a workout, like coming down from the pre-workout, dopamine level. So I just caught him at the wrong. But we talked it out on the phone, which, I mean, I've known him since he was 14 years old. Wow. And just watched him grow into the young man he is today. I remember Sean, when Sean was a student here. He's a father now, a husband, still kicking ass in his rock band and stuff like that. But for me, as a man of faith and someone who considers himself a leader, to be a part of that growth and to watch Chris grow, and for us to be able, like two grown men, to hash it out with each other and be like, listen, this is how I took it. Well, here's my perspective. And then we came back around full circle at the end with our usual, like, hanging up, like, all right, man, I love you. Be safe. I love you too. Like two grown ass men telling each other that, like,
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything better in today's society than leading with love, than loving tough, and making sure that your people understand you're there for them, good and bad. But in turn, you got to be there for me too.
Yes.
We're big bucket fillers.
Yeah.
But I got to make sure if you're emptying my bucket, you got to help me fill that back up with some positivity, which I want to talk about right now. Second book coming out in April.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can give us a little teaser on what I know. You've got the avocado acronym that's been on the site for a while, but I want to hear about your second book and how excited you are and what it entails and what it's going to cover for the people.
Yeah. So the last couple of years, I've been leaning a lot more into leadership. And there was a company that asked me to come lead a workshop for their leaders. And they wanted it to be centered around core values. So I created and trademarked a workshop called Leading from the Core, where I tie the makeup of a good ripe avocado is like the makeup of what a good leader should be, right? Avocados, before they're good and ripe, if you try to cut into them, they're hard, the skin is tough, the flesh is not good, it's not nourishing, right? The same is true with leaders. When people are put into leadership positions just because they're good at their job, I was one of them. I was a really good graphic and web designer, and they were like, okay, you're going to be the next, director of web. And they put me in that leadership role, and I just did the work of all the people that I led because I did not know how to lead them.
Yep.
I just did their work. I was a terrible leader, right? I was toxic. People quit working for me. I ran people off because I was a terrible leader. I was hard. I was not nourishing. I wasn't looking to make them a leader. A good ripe avocado is worn. The flesh is nourishing. Avocados by nature are good fat. Right? They are healthy for you. And when you eat them, you're actually a lot healthier in your gut health. And the center of that avocado is the seed. I love this quote. It says that in God, any fool can tell how many seeds are in an apple, but only God can tell how many apples are in a seed. When an avocado seed is planted, it doesn't grow another avocado. It grows a tree. And you don't know how many avocados are going to grow from it. Same thing with apple seeds, right? The good core leader that leads from the core, they're not trying to plant more followers. They're trying to grow more leaders.
Yep.
So when they plant their good seed in people, when they are nourishing to those that they lead, they grow more leaders, not more followers. And then I have an acronym from the word avocado, the AVOCADO, avocado. Where there are 7 attributes of every great leader, and they're from each one of these letters. I won't talk about the attributes, but that's essentially what this book is going to be about, is how to become an avocado leader. I had to become an avocado leader. It took me a while to get there. It took me reps to get there. You talked about a little bit about data earlier, right? There's quantitative and there's qualitative, right? And when it comes to reps and being a leader and leading more people and failing forward and figuring out, okay, how do I lead? And taking classes and courses. I went through Dale Carnegie leadership courses and sales courses. I had to learn how to lead. It took me a while to get to be a leader. I'm a much better follower or much better father today than I was with my first 2 children. I'm a much better father now. And I'm a better father to them now that I know how to be a leader because I'm leading from the core. So that's what avocado leadership is about.
Can we just talk about, you made a really good point that I think all 4 of us really believe in, but it isn't publicly touched on a lot, is that you have to invest in self-improvement.
Yes.
And you talk about like I remember my first couple of years I was making money. I probably spent like 20, 30 grand on just courses, seminars, books. You're the same way. I mean, honestly, it was a habit I picked up from you, always coming in and there being a freaking boatload of 10 or 20 books or type of like workshop course load. What does investing in self-improvement or self-development look like to you, Mr. B? So when you first kind of got started, and obviously you started off sports, and then you were in sales, and then you were in admissions, and now you're in AD. Just talk about from like a very, I guess, procedural knowledge standpoint, what does that look like when a person wants to invest in self-improvement? How do they get there, and how self-improvement can't just be, I saw a 30-second TikTok about discipline.
That's what it is nowadays.
Yeah.
That's what it is 100%.
Like speak about the importance of investing, there being a sacrificial component when it comes to self-improvement?
I got really lucky coming out of Hillsdale College. I had gone to some CFL tryouts. Any NFL combine I went to, they told me I was too short, even though I was a long snapper as well. Felt I was good there. Had an opportunity with the Albany Firebirds in the Arena League, but I chose to be a major account executive for a copier company. You want to talk about like tough sales jobs, going door to door, basically selling like loose leaf to people, because everybody had copiers that would make copies, and mine does this and mine does this. But I had a great training course that lasted a month, every day for a full month. And it was all on relationship building.
Wow.
Being a good listener, learning how, like you and I talk, when you ask for the deal, like what's the worst somebody can say? No. So I was able to take little things like that and just carry it into my everyday life right up front in my sales job. And then I noticed, all right, I have an opportunity to come coach here at Catholic Central. Came right out of Hillsdale, graduated spring of 98, fall of 98. I'm back here home coaching. And I finally found my groove. I found my fit. My fit was in Catholic Central. Now, outside of here, I was struggling. So I had to find ways to invest, to look up courses. You could go to a Dale Carnegie course, but it's going to hit different for me than it might for you. You might not get anything out of it. You might have to find something else or read another book. Like I love the John Gordon books, Damon West, stuff like that. Those are the kind of things. So I think it's important for people to find what they're looking for and what style of pouring back into themselves will work, because like I said, you can read a John Maxwell book, might not hit you. Maybe you need to read that David Goggins book, Can't Hurt Me. That's going to hit you. I need somebody in my face screaming at me like, listen, get up off the ground, pick yourself up, brush yourself off, and make sure that you start leading from the front. And you tell the people that are behind you, get on my back, because we're all going together.
Yeah.
So I think you have to figure out, you almost have to do a self-audit. Like what makes me tick? What gets me excited about getting in the fire, in the trenches, in the mud with my people? How can I help pull them out while making sure I'm pulling myself out too? So you have to be intentional about it. Just like we said, your relationship with God.
Yeah.
You got to be intentional. So you have to understand what's going to motivate you. I could listen to 1,000 things online and none of them hit me. None of them get me excited. I hear something from you one time and I'm like, damn, I'm fired up. Like, so I think you have to be intentional about it. And you honestly, when you really talk about it, you got a budget for it. Like,
there we go.
We spend a lot of money on our 10-year-old and our 7-year-old. I don't want my wife to want for a thing. We're very blessed to have a roof over our heads, but I also know if I want to get better, I have to do this. I get to do this. Like I'm going to put some money aside to make me better, because I'll tell Lauren, it's going to make me a better husband to you. Brooksy and Bo, it's going to make me a better dad to the two of you. My family here, it's going to make me a better employee. It's going to make me a better leader. It's going to make me a better leader who leads with love. And that's what it means to me. So I think you got to be in time and you got to be willing to invest. Like I'd rather spend money on myself than spend, money on me and you going to Mongolian barbecue. Now I find ways to budget for both of those, of course, because that's necessary. But that's for me. You have to be intentional with it, and you have to sacrifice.
You have to.
You mentioned a name when you were mentioning books, and Damon West. So I read Damon West's book. It's called Coffee Bean. Have you read it?
Oh my God!
Oh, trust me.
Never stop hearing it. It was Damon West actually came and spoke here.
Did he really?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, I think I remember that.
Yeah, I've heard him speak about 3 times, and this guy speaks about it every single day.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Yes, I know.
I as an author, authors and speakers, we compare to one another. We compare ourselves, whether we want to or not.
It's natural.
We compare ourselves because we have standards that we're trying to reach, and we see people that might be the standard in our mind. They might be at different levels of their career or their profession, but writing books is one of the hardest things to do, because you want all of the information there, but you also want it to be able to stand up next to other books, right? The John Gordon books. I just got his book, The 7.
7 Characteristics.
7 Characteristics of a Leader. And I know John personally. I've spoken on a circuit with him, and he is who he says he is, whether he's on the stage or whether he's off stage. And his daughter is awesome, good as well, Jade. But Damon West's book is one of those books that sits on my shelf that I pull off all the time.
Yep, me too.
It's a short little book, but the impact in that book is absolutely incredible. And when I get in those moments of, okay, my book has to have 200 pages, it has to, be this, it has to have that, can't have pictures, it's got to be. I pull out Damon's book and I'm like, this book here has probably created more impact than most business books because of what's in it, not because of the size or how many characters or words.
And it's got pictures.
Oh my
and
gosh.
it's not that long.
It's not
Very
that
simple.
long. And I love his message. And I think sometimes we got to pull ourselves back and say, okay, who are we really trying to touch? Who are we trying to impact? And what are we trying to leave behind? And when you said Damon, the first thing I thought of was Coffee Bean. And I appreciate you for bringing that back.
That's my go-to for when I mystery read in my kids' grade school. That's what I bring in,
You
the
take
coffee bean
bean
for kids. It's the best, which I've approached Damon before. I was like, Damon, listen, I know you're out there preaching the coffee bean message, but who do you have preaching the coffee bean for kids? Like, can you cut me in? Like, I would be more than willing to go to grade school. So we talked a little bit about that. And I even talked to him about making Catholic Central a coffee bean school. And he's like, Aaron, like a lot of people talk to me about this stuff. He's like, but then there's no action. He's like, if you want to do it, I'll help you do it. But here's what you have to do. So we've had multiple conversations here because that mindset is so simple.
It's so simple.
Like, just be a good human being from the inside out, be a change agent.
Yes.
And watch everything else around you change. You can affect that boiling pot of hot water and change the name of that liquid just by being that coffee bean.
Just by being it.
I gave it to each kid on my son's 4th grade football team the week of the Super Bowl. I gave him all a coffee bean and told him what that whole story was. I used that and the Isaiah 6:8 verse, send me.
Yes.
And I was like, you need me to go make a tackle, send me. And then so I asked him the other day, I said, guys, what was your favorite message? The coffee bean. Because they come up here and they're part of our youth wrestling program. And I said, well, where's your coffee bean right now? Sitting right on my dresser, coach. And I'm just like,
wow.
Because that story touched me so much when I first heard it from Damon and even reading his first book, The Change Agent.
Yes.
Which goes deeper into his story. Like, you talk about the grind. I mean, every saint was once a sinner. And I mean, that dude, he teetered the line, like, and for him to come out on the other end too. But, you know, we talk about heroes and things like that. For me, my biggest heroes in my life have been my mom and dad.
Yeah.
For you, in your life, who have your biggest heroes been?
I would say I've got two. One of my biggest heroes is probably my mom. So my mom poured into me when I was very young. She taught me the art of visualization. When I was probably in 9th grade, she would teach me to lay on my back, visualize myself scoring a home run, scoring the game-winning touchdown, making the game-winning pass or whatever it might be. Then I'd get in the game and these things would happen. And I didn't realize what she was doing to me at that time. But she was always at every game. She made sure I had everything I needed from a mental standpoint and also a nourishment standpoint. My mom always had like the orange slices. All the kids loved my mom. She had the orange slices and ham sandwiches for after the game. And my mom graduated from Ferris State at age 69. She raised 7 kids in a 3-bedroom home. My dad worked all the time. My dad was present, but he was also absent at the same time. Love my dad. Absolutely love my dad. But my mom was the one that kind of made sure that we had everything we need from a physical and mental standpoint, spiritual standpoint. And when she graduated at 69, she decided to go back to school, went to Ferris State. And, she was 64 years old at the time. And to watch her walk across the stage showed me that what she said to us and taught us, she lived it. You can do anything you want to do if you put your mind to it, period. And watching her, she's one of my heroes. I would say one of my other heroes is Coach Moore, my first football coach. He was my football coach from 5th grade through 8th grade. And Coach Moore was one of those coaches that if he coached today, he'd probably be in jail.
Most of our coaches back then.
Oh my gosh, Coach Moore would grab me by
Sean
the face.
having a little taste of Coach Rod back in the day.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He'd grab me by my face. I played quarterback all through high school and middle school. Central was the only team that didn't want me to play quarterback. They wanted me to play wide receiver. And I'm like, all right, whatever. But Coach Moore would grab me by my face mask and he'd just be in my face. He'd be spitting and this and that. And he taught me how to be a man at a very young age and to take coaching, to listen, like you said, to listen. Because when I listened to him, I did well. And I wish Coach Moore could have been my coach all the way through the pros because he was my favorite all-time coach. And I think about him often and what he instilled in me at a very early age. So yeah, those are my two heroes.
I love it. Chris?
For the sake of not being overwhelmingly cliche,
I know one of yours, hands down.
yeah, I think today I'm going to touch on someone just a little bit more unique. I've spoken about it a couple of times, but honestly, Mr. Griffin here, he was probably the first person in a world where just naturally, as a black man, your intellect is often questioned. How you speak, how you view life, how you enter a room, how you enunciate things of that sort. In a world where the voice of a black man is often shunned or quieted down, he was one of the first people when I was a young man to really tell me the power I had in my voice. And I had him as for poetry out loud, but he also was our public speaking teacher. He was the first person to really kind of tell me that your voice is going to change lives. Wow. And that there is power in being able to articulate and tell your story. And there is power in being able to write. Because he also, I had him for so many classes. He was my English teacher, and I had him for creative writing.
Jeez.
Then I had him for public speaking, but also had him for journalism.
Wow.
And so he's taught me the power of storytelling. And so being a young black male who went to schools in the suburbs through middle school and then high school, you know how it is. You can be judged, you can be looked down upon, people stereotype how you speak and things of that sort. He told me that like your gift will make room for you. And that's why I'm so big on the fundamentals, is because I was playing football before I ever became a pro. I was writing articles, I was writing essays, I was writing papers for free in high school, in middle school, before I ever got paid to write a book.
Wow. And
so that is why I'm so big on fundamentals. I believe that everything is a skill that can be taught with enough reps. God doesn't make, in the Bible, it didn't say, I made football players. I made rappers. No. He said, I made you in my image. And in my likeness.
The original NIL.
Original NIL. No. And to be fruitful.
That's good.
And to have dominion and power and all these things. And that as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. And, nowadays I don't think he truly maybe understands. That's how you know he's just like a natural leader, a natural giver, because I don't even think he understands the impact he's had on my life and how much that meant to me. But in a world where it seemed like everyone was trying to quiet my voice, and you were always awesome, but you were the athletic director, so it's like, of course he likes you. You play football, but to have someone that is viewed as like the scholar type, like more of a cliche type of like white male, to be like, no man, like your voice matters. Nothing wrong with how he speaks.
Wow.
I'm gonna help you fine tune a couple of things and show you some best practices, and it's gonna change your life, and you're gonna have a story, and you're gonna be able to share it. And even if that's not what you decide to do, you're gonna be a great leader one day. And the ability to articulate vision, goals, dreams, missions, and stories, it's gonna take you a long way. And it was a game changer, because that is a skill that helped me. I wasn't a captain here, but then I was captain in college. I was captain in the pros. I wasn't a captain here, but then corporate education will book me to come in and speak about leadership and what these things look like. And, he played a very big part of my life. And so now, naturally, when I see his sons, they're probably like, well, like, why is the most random person so nice to me and so caring to me? It's like, dude, I don't think you. I remember one guy was like, oh, dude, your father genuinely changed my life. And he's like, okay, like, I don't have kids. I'm like,
that's just how they both are too. Like,
it's like all right, like like even like I'll be talking like Bo and Brooks, and I think that's one reason why I work out so hard. Is I'm like, gosh, who's the Michigan offensive lineman we had in here?
Oh, John Jansen.
Like John Jansen. I mean, even like I've met so many like just football or athletic or just like studs in my life, and you'll talk to their kids, like their kids have no idea who their father. And that's why people are like, why do you still work out so hard? I'm like, do I have to still look? I want to look like a jack imposing figure when I have a kid. So like when I go to parent-teacher conferences, they can still be like, oh yeah, your dad played in the league, played for what? Like, because these kids have no idea who they're. And that is very. I think it goes to show you that you have to do the things that you do, like not for yourself, because you can get. I heard a wise man once say that you only get rewarded for the outcome. You'll never get rewarded for the work. So like everyone will like accomplish you for, oh, good job. Like the applaud comes for the outcome, but no one cares about the work.
They have no idea most times.
They have no idea. And so that's been one of those about like just learning.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, you got to really do things that you do like for yourself, or because like that's part of your mission, because no one's going to applaud it. Because I'll be talking to like your kids, his kids, or just some of my old teammates' kids, like, or even just like, I mean, not necessarily my teammates, but just older legends. Have no idea. Dude, your dad was a Hall of Famer, Pro Bowler, all American, all Stater, and they're just like, that's the guy that makes me grilled cheese, man. What you talking about?
Yeah, my kids have no. They try to race me and stuff still, and I can still run, thank God, a little bit, and still beat them, but it's coming quickly. But I'm like, boy, so sure enough, we're out at Walled Lake Braves practice one day, and one of our little linemen's kind of running his mouth. He's, I'll block you, Coach Aaron, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, like, let me just do one little quick move on him. So I did, sure enough, just jacked him up, quick swim move. He had no idea. He hits the ground. He looks up. I was like, just so you know, I still got it. You're the low man on the totem pole here.
It's like, even like talking to these guys, like now you see him, he's like the rehab specialist, the prehab specialist. Dude, I grew up, he was pulling 6 plates for 10. On deadlift.
I'm paying for it now. Trust me. Every time I get up, I'm paying for it.
So it's like, it's just, all like that past positive reflection where you kind of just,
oh yeah.
That's why I think it's just so important. I mean, for all cultures and for all groups of people, you have to pay homage and listen to the ancestors. Yeah. I'm very big on that. And I believe the ancestors, just those came before you.
Absolutely.
And so I know he gets upset, but I'm like, the ancestors, you look back and man, you have to learn those
You also
lessons.
call me the great deceiver repeatedly. That's not allegedly.
We can't break down the great deceiver. We can't break down the great.
There's a time limit.
You can't break down the great deceiver publicly. We can't. But yeah, no, man, it's been great, man. I've had a great time today, man.
Awesome.
We've covered a lot of things in this podcast, which I love, and it's so great because we don't give you the questions before. We don't tell you what we're talking about. Just basically, like I told you in DMs, like just come on, be comfortable, and we're just going to get after it. The one thing I want to leave everybody with, and it's something that Chris and I talk about endlessly, and I want Chris to talk about it, but I want to put you on the spot first. In order to be great at anything, I feel like there really is no true balance. You just live life and you kind of go where your heart takes you. For you, you're doing so many different things.
Yeah.
Speaking engagements, you're now putting on your own forum with 3 of your favorite people that you have joining you. You're finishing up the book. You're going to support the kids at games. You're taking care of 4 kids and things like that. You're spread so thin. What is your definition, or is there a definition of balance that you can share with everybody out there?
I would say people ask me this question quite a bit because I do a lot. Like I do a lot of stuff along with being a husband and a father of 4 that each one of my kids have their own
traveling
life.
too.
And travel. Like each one of my kids have their own life. They're all over the place. I'm flying to Brown University with my oldest son. He's doing a TEDx at Brown University at the end of this month. Connor and I are going to Miami, Ohio next Friday. I'm taking my daughter to a daddy-daughter dance next Saturday on Valentine's Day. My son's got a basketball game that day. It's like, how do you juggle all these things? And I always say this, instead of work-life balance, try work-life rhythm, okay? If you think about rhythm, something is always going to be out of balance. But as the rhythm goes and it flows, you're going to make up for it, okay? So I talk about the rest note. The rest note in music is where most of the work happens, where the silence is, right? In the quiet moments, in the silence. The rest note actually keeps the rhythm in the music. It keeps the rhythm because unless you have those moments of silence and quiet and pause and reflection, you're out of balance, you're out of rhythm, and you burn out, right? So I have those quiet moments of rest. I have those times where I'm spending time with each one of my children and someone else is on the back burner, right? I'm having times, my daughter, she's my daughter, right? I've got 3 boys and a baby girl. She's like, Mommy and Daddy, you guys are always going on dates. Why do you always go on dates and never take me? So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to start taking my daughter on more dates. But she recognizes that Mommy and Daddy spend time together.
That's the key. Yep,
right?
Starts at the top.
Mommy and Daddy spend time together. We have a rhythm, we have a balance. And it's not all the time, to be quite honest. We don't take vacations all the time. But every now and then, we take that time in those moments to keep the rhythm going. Because if you don't, you're going to be out of balance and someone's going to suffer heavily and you're going to burn out. So instead of work-life balance, try work-life rhythm.
I like that. Chris?
I mean, I don't have a wife and kids, so I'm more of a transparent individual. I mean, I don't have a wife and kids, so for me, it's just I just do the thing that that brings the most value. Or like, for me, it's like whatever is the highest value thing. I believe that the market dictates value, and so I believe whatever is the most valuable thing. So if there's a major basketball tournament, I know all the teachers are gone, and I'm thinking, okay, this is a massive rivalry. He's getting up there. He's by himself. Someone's going to storm the courts. He probably should go to the basketball game over hanging out with your friends. But if it's like, okay, there's an event and I have a speaking engagement, probably going to go to that speaking engagement. Oh, there's a TV show I want to watch. I need to go to the gym. Like, I'm probably just going to go to the gym. So for me, it's just doing the thing that you don't want to do.
Yes.
You know that it's best for you.
Yes.
That's kind of what balance looks like for me. And a lot of times I am just making those decisions. Like, it's much more simpler for me, a lot of family. But that's kind of how I weigh things out. So if you wonder how much I love you, like, that is what goes into my decision making. Like, all right, it might get a little rowdy. There's gonna be a lot of people there. He's getting up there. What if they storm the court?
He's not as young as he used to be. I don't need my man getting run over out there.
Getting run over. I'm like, all right, I should probably go there. Or, you know what? Ooh, there's a little bit of beef with that admin over there. You know what? I should probably.
We're not touching on that either.
I should probably.
We had one recently where I was happy you were there.
I should probably pull up. So, a lot of times, I feel like we all know what we should do.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times I just try my best to do that.
To do it.
Yeah.
Just doing the right thing.
Yeah.
I will say this. You've done a very good job at that. You're in a really good pocket right now in life to where you're able to pick and choose certain things. Like, there's certain things we have to do as fathers and husbands where we might not be the most excited, but
right.
if I'm going to be there, I'm going to pour everything I have into it. Chris sent me an article. It was a little blip on like TikTok. This guy was talking about he's like, people who complain about work-life balance traditionally aren't good at either one of them. And I'm like, So I hit him up. He's like, yeah, this guy broke all these records in sales and blah, blah, blah. I go, but Chris, he might be the greatest salesman in the world. I said, but once I dug up like a little bit about him, he owns a company with his wife that he works at with his wife, and they have no kids.
Yeah.
What balance is he really struggling to find? And then I told him, I said, true balance is when you have a wife and kids, a career, a relationship with the Lord, a relationship with a small circle of friends. You're entrusted to lead people. When you're able to find that rhythm, like you said, that's the real level up.
Absolutely.
That's the real balance. And I feel like I'm running around like a chicken with my head cut off all the time, but I wouldn't want it any other way. And sometimes it's exhausting, but I think my point is to everybody out there, and like Jake said, find that rhythm. Like Chris said, pick and choose what you want to pour yourself into in your emotion, because the one thing you don't get back is time.
Yes.
That's the one thing you don't get back. So why not spend it around people that help you level up, that fill your bucket, that you're able to listen to? One of the things I love that you said, one of the characteristics of a great leader is being uncomfortable in that silence and just listening. I love that one, and just being good with it. So Jake, I can't tell you how, I've been lightly stalking you on comments. I think this last one was on a comment about you listed all the stuff you've done over the last maybe 10 years.
Yeah.
And then I put February 2nd, House of Hammers. You're like, I can't escape anymore. You're like, I'm in, let's do it. So we just get luckier and luckier to bring great people on here, great men, great women, great people of faith, and great leaders. And you are one of the finest guests we've had on here. I'm excited to watch your growth. I love watching you be a dad and how excited you get about the kids and what they're doing and Connor's journey. Hopefully we don't run into each other in the playoffs, because then we just a quick dap up and then we're enemies for the whole game. But I really appreciate you taking time out. I can't wait to see what you continue to do. Chris, you know how much I love you. Man, you've written 2 books, and we continue to motivate each other and love each other. And Sean, I know you're the man behind the boards, but the continued growth for me as a leader is what fills my bucket. So I really appreciate everybody. For those of you out there listening, tap in, hit the subscribe button. And Chris?
I mean, in a world where we're constantly seeking growth, it is very important that we keep that same level of energy and growth when it comes to things that regard philanthropy.
Yes.
And a way to grow philanthropy is if you can continue to donate to the 1928 Club. If you want amazing podcasts, school events, lectures, new buildings, keeping our tuition at a good, nice rate, which we've done an amazing job at doing it. That happens with you guys, the supporters. You guys continue to give, continue to show up as you guys already do, and we appreciate you so much. But the 1928 Club is a great way to do that, man. God bless, go Rocks.
And when all else fails, keep hammering. We appreciate you guys and love you guys.